What's up guys, Tony here with iTech Check, and this is my review of the iPhone XR. So as I said before, I've been a long-time Android user. The last iPhone that I had personally was the iPhone 3GS. Now for those of you who had the 3GS back then, you knew that that S meant a big speed bump or significant, whereas now the chips are so far advanced that you really don't notice a speed difference from phone to phone. But you know, I've had so many Android phones ever since then. I can't deny that I do love the iPhone body. I've always been a fan of the hardware of the iPhone. I just didn't like the iOS. And ever since the iPhone 10 came out, I have been kind of drooling because the OLED screens have been so gorgeous, and the body of the new iPhones have been so sleek. It's just, it's hard to deny that they are definitely top notch in their game as far as that goes. And as far as the tweaks that they've made with the new iOS system, it's become so much better than the ones that had the button. It's just so buttery smooth. And I finally kind of bit the bullet and decided to try out the new iPhone XR. Now, for those of you who can afford the 10, hands down best screen so far. But I just couldn't hand out $1,000 or more for a phone, so I opted for the iPhone XR. So let's go ahead and take a look at the specs real quick. Now, as far as the specs go, it has a 6.1-inch screen. It is a Liquid Retina HD display. It's 1792 by 828 pixels, 326 ppi, and a 1400:1 contrast ratio. It uses the A12 Bionic chip, which all the new iPhones have. It's IP67 rated, which means it can stand up to a maximum depth of 1 meter up to 30 minutes in water. It would really be nice to have that IP68 rating. It has a 12 megapixel wide angle camera. It also can do 4K video at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second. It also has slow motion support for 1080p video at 120 or 240 frames per second. The front-facing camera is 7 megapixels with a 2.2 aperture and can do 1080p HD video recording at 30 or 60 frames per second. Now, as far as the battery goes, the iPhone XR has a 2,942 milliamp hour battery, whereas the iPhone XS Max has a 3,174 milliamp hour battery, which isn't too far behind. And because it's a smaller screen, it should actually last a pretty long time. Now, as far as the build quality goes, this phone definitely has an amazing build quality. It just feels so solid in your hand. Of course, you know, all the other iPhones have pretty much had this, but I just love the way that the whole front of the phone is pretty much the screen. The back glass, as you can see, unfortunately it is a fingerprint magnet, but I put a case on here just because I want to protect, you know, the back. I don't need this to drop and crack all the glass on the front or the back. So I just go ahead and put a case on there. But I do love how sleek it is. I mean, I kind of like the mirrorness of the glass. It feels so slick and cool. This is made of aluminum instead of the stainless steel that the iPhone 10 is made out of, but it still feels really solid in the hand. And honestly, I'd rather take the savings over the feel of the stainless steel, but that's just me because I'm not trying to spend $1,000 on a phone. Now, as far as the weight goes, this is definitely it's more weighty than the iPhone 10, most likely due to the battery and thickness of the phone. It's definitely thicker and heavier than the regular iPhone 10. But again, I'd rather have The battery size over weight and the thickness, that doesn't really matter to me, because the thinner the phone is in anyway, the more likely you're not going to be able to hold on to it and drop it. So the little bit of extra thickness is definitely fine with me, and the weightiness of the phone is not really a big deal anyway. When you put it in your pocket, you really don't notice. So I would rather, have the extra inside that they needed to put and give me the extra thickness. But that's just my 2 cents. Now, as far as the iPhone X iOS, it is just so smooth. I love the way that you navigate around the screen, the way that you change to your recents. You don't have to reach your thumb all the way up to the top left-hand corner anymore to hit that back button. All you do is swipe to the left and it takes you backward. I think that they've done so many good things with the iOS as of, the iPhone X first came out, that it definitely makes the phone more enjoyable and usable. That's another reason why I went ahead and opted for the new iPhone, is just because those little annoyances to me were enough to not want to get the phone, because these phones are getting bigger and bigger, and some people don't have very big hands, and to have to reach up the top left-hand corner all the time to hit the back button was just annoying. So now you just swipe from anywhere on the side of the phone and it'll take you back. It's just so much more intuitive. Definitely give a thumbs up to Apple for doing that kind of stuff and making the phone more usable for everybody else. I haven't had any lag. It's been always smooth, no trouble whatsoever. The only thing that I kind of wish that Apple will do is if you push down on the screen, instead of it bringing up this suggestions, it would actually bring up your quick toggle menu, which you still have to reach up the top right hand corner, which kind of stinks, because if you're left-handed, I have big hands and I have to shuffle the phone just to get up there, and this is where a lot of your your quick options would be, and I use those quite some time. So really, if I just pull down on the screen, I would hope that would come up instead of this, or at least make it an option, for people to change. But that's really the only gripe that I had with that. Now, in my unboxing video, I think a lot of people got confused when I said that you can't place the icons where you want them. I totally understand that I can move them around the screen, but say I wanted to take this icon and put it down here without another row, Apple does not allow you to do that. You have to put it, like it puts it at the very last one. See, so as you can see here, if I wanted to make my camera just down here by itself, Apple would not allow you to do that. You could move it, anywhere where there's other boxes, but it would have to be somewhere next to the other icons. You can't just pull it and have it all the way down at the bottom left hand of the screen like Android allows you to. Apple wants you to, I guess, have uniformity, and they make you put your icons next to another icon. That's what I was trying to say, but hopefully, sometime down the future they'll allow you to do that too. I really love using these Me emojis too. Nothing else compares. Samsung doesn't even come close to this. Now, as far as the screen quality goes, like I said before, you really don't notice a difference until you put the phone next to another iPhone that has an OLED screen. If you've been using, any of the other iPhones before the iPhone X that didn't have an OLED screen and you were fine with that, this is not going to be any different. This screen is vibrant, it's beautiful, and even though it's not 1080p, it's still an amazing screen, and you can still see, text, pretty much anything that you need to see on the screen perfectly fine. You don't need that OLED screen. And as far as watching YouTube videos, as you can see, here is a 4K video, but it's obviously not showing 4K on the screen. But if you look at the corner here, you can just see barely the little resolution is very small, and you can still read it. And if you can still read that, then this screen is definitely perfect for reading anything else that you would need to read or view. The video is still beautiful, even though it's not in 4K. it's perfectly fine. Trust me. If you have any hang-ups about getting this phone because the screen is not 1080p, don't. You're not going to have any issues reading or watching anything you want and enjoying it. Now, as far as the camera is concerned, as far as I can tell, this camera is amazing. It takes amazing pictures. It takes amazing video. The color representation is pretty much spot on as far as the colors go. The clarity is amazing. I'll show you a couple of clips that I made of it's snowing outside in the slow motion. Slow motion works very well. The portrait mode with the bokeh effect is pretty cool, and it works really well. As you can see here, as I took a little photo of me with a bokeh effect. Very cool. Both front and back cameras, I definitely give a thumbs up on this. So if you are using this for wanting to take video of your kids, or using it to make videos for YouTube or whatever, this is going to be a great camera, so you don't have to worry about that. Call quality, I haven't had any problems hearing anybody that I make phone calls with. It has great sound. It has a nice loud sound. I haven't had any issues with the speeds. I know that there was an issue with the iPhone 10, the chip that they used in there, but this one does not seem to have any issues with call reception. I haven't had any dropped calls or anything like that, so that works out really well. Now, the iPhone XR as well as the other iPhone 10s, they have a stereo speaker, and it is quite good. It actually has a decent amount of bass for a phone. Obviously, it's not gonna blow you away, but when you're watching videos or even just on a phone call with the speakerphone, because it is utilizing both the earphone speaker and the bottom firing speaker, it's so loud and clear. You don't ever have to worry about, I can't hear what you're saying. Or when you're watching a video, you don't have to worry about covering it up with your hand, or not being able to hear anything, because you have that front firing speaker. You can hear pretty much everything that you need to, and like I said before, the quality is quite good. I'm very impressed. It's the best stereo sounding speakers that I've heard on a phone yet. Now, me coming from Android, I've had the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, and that has, the Retina scan, and it has, Face Unlock, and the fingerprint sensor and stuff like that. iPhone has Face ID, and it works really well. I haven't had any problems with it. It works in the dark, which you can't say for, the Samsung Galaxy. It has to use your Retina scan, so you have to kind of, hold the phone up to your eye so it can scan it, whereas iPhone, you just hold it naturally and it scans your face, so that works in the dark. And that's, really convenient, because who wants to have to hold their phone up to their face so it can scan their eye to unlock? It's just kind of annoying. So the Face ID is definitely something that I would really love to have on Android, but unfortunately iPhone is the only one that has that, the best one right now, especially one that works in the dark. I've seen other companies, I think some of the Chinese companies like, I think maybe Huawei or Xiaomi, they might have a phone that actually has infrared Face ID, and they need to implement those on the Galaxies if they want to, keep up with the Face ID thing. And the cool thing is you can use it for, unlocking some of your banking apps or some of the other apps that require a biometric scan to unlock. You can use the Face ID with the iPhone, which is super convenient. As far as any bugs go, I haven't really come across any. There's one app that I use that consistently I have to close out and reopen. But as far as the the normal iOS system, I haven't had the phone crash. I haven't had to restart it. I honestly have not had any issues with the phone thus far. It's been really great. I don't know, if I've heard some people complain about some bugs, but It might be something simple like, like this one app that I use, it might need to be updated or something like that, so it can be used. But I haven't really had any issues with anything else, camera, any of the native apps that I've come across. Everything works super well. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. Ever since the iOS 12 update, I have not had any issues. So if anybody else is having issues out there, let me know what you've come across, because I'd really like to know, because I honestly haven't come across any bugs or anything like that. So it works out really well. Now, as I said before, this does have like a mid-level battery between the XS Max and the X. And battery life for me has been tremendous. I start work at 7:30 in the morning. That's when I start using my phone throughout the day. I'm always going through emails. I'm making phone calls, texting, and I leave work probably, I'd say, around 4:30, and that's when I turn my phone off. And from 100% at 7:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the evening after work, after moderate use, I would say, I'm around 75%. So I really don't even ever have to worry about charging my phone. I can go, 2 or 3 days before I even have to charge it. And then it's got the wireless charging, which is really convenient. The only thing I kind of wish is that they, come with a quick charger. But, besides that, battery life on this thing is stellar. Now, I have to tell you that I do have on the ambient mode where it adjusts my screen brightness, and my brightness is about right there. I'd say about a little less than half, and it maintains that throughout the day. I'm really not in any bright area, super bright areas, and as you can see, that is perfectly fine for viewing anything you want to see on your phone. And that's what gets me that 75% a day. So, of course, if you turn on the brightness a lot more, it's definitely going to drain the battery quicker, but that's what I keep it on, and it's worked perfectly fine for me. And that is with my Bluetooth on, connected to my Galaxy Fit 2. Yes, it's a Samsung watch, with the Wi-Fi on and my cellular. So I have all that connected, and I do have my location settings on as well. So, if ever I need to use an app that has, needs location, like my maps, it'll turn on my location. So I pretty much have everything that you can have on, and I still get that 75% days usage. So battery life on this thing is stellar. So now, would I recommend you picking this up? And the answer is most definitely. Now, if you can afford to splurge and get the iPhone 10, with the OLED screen, the screen does look amazing, and I can't deny that. I cannot deny that. It does look amazing. So if you have the money, I might go with the Max. If your hands can handle that, because it is a huge phone, and I have big hands, and I would say that this phone here is a good size for me. I think the Max would definitely be too big, but if you have to have that OLED screen, then you either go with the iPhone 10 or the Max for the OLED. But this is a perfectly acceptable phone. You're not dropping $1,000. I love this phone. I absolutely cannot really find anything wrong with it, other than the little things that I would hope for that would change. But as far as everything else, definitely a good purchase. Battery life is amazing. Everything on this phone is amazing, and coming from Android, I cannot deny that. So if you guys are on the fence about getting the XR because it doesn't have a 1080p screen, don't. I'd say go for it, especially if you don't want to spend $1,000 on the phone. This is definitely gonna be worthwhile for you guys. So another thing that I wish that they did, I know there's definitely enough space up at the top of this screen for a notification light. That's another reason why I kind of didn't like the iPhone, is because it didn't have a notification LED, but it's definitely not a deal breaker, especially after using it. So that was pretty much for my review. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'll definitely do everything that I can to answer your question. If you guys enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to let you know when I put out new videos. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.